Lyle's golden syrup. It's a familiar store cupboard ingredient in kitchens throughout the British Isles. But I'm not about to show you my favourite flapjack recipe. In fact, I'm not really interested in the contents. I'm interested in the tin. I'm going to try to explain how the tin is an object which reflects the religious belief of Abraham Lyle, who created the product. It's an iconic piece of packaging. On the supermarket shelf, it stands out from the surrounding products and it looks distinctly old-fashioned. This is because it's hardly changed since 1885 and remains in the late Victorian style. As well as the elegant lettering and the stylised white decorative motifs, one's eye is drawn to the lion, who is being buzzed by a swarm of bees. You'd be forgiven for thinking that the lion was enjoying a quiet snooze after indulging in some calorific sweet treat. But in fact he's dead. Late 19th and early 20th century versions of the tin show an animal that is much more obviously dead. Head slumped to one side, paws outstretched. It's symptomatic of the way in which death became hidden in the 20th century that now he appears to be sleeping, with a smile on his face. Under the lion is a text. Out of the strong came forth sweetness. Well, this seems a puzzle, because you might think that it should be the other way round. The sweet, sugary product in the tin produces strength, at least in the short term. In fact, it's a biblical text. Out of the strong came forth sweetness. It's found in Judges chapter 14, verse 14. It forms part of the story of Samson, the wild, strong man who emerges as a leader of the ancient Israelites in their struggle against the Philistines. Although Samson's role was chiefly a political one, he is described as having judged Israel for 20 years. Much of the 3 chapters devoted to him are concerned with his tangles with Philistine women. The first of these was a Philistine woman at Timnah, whom Samson demanded his father obtain for him. His father was reluctant because the Philistines were the foreign enemy. Here's the story from Judges 14. Starting to read at verse 5. Then Samson went down with his father and mother to Timnah. When he came to the vineyards of Timnah, suddenly a young lion roared at him. The Spirit of the Lord rushed on him, and he tore the lion apart with his bare hands, as one might tear apart a goat. But he did not tell his father or his mother what he had done. He went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson. After a while, he returned to marry her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion, and there was a swarm of bees in the body of the lion, and honey. He scraped it out into his hands and went on, eating as he went. Then he came to his father and mother, and he gave some to them, and they ate it. But he did not tell them that he had taken the honey from the carcass of the lion. His father went down to the woman, and Samson made a feast there, as the young men were accustomed to do. When the people saw him, they brought 30 companions to be with him. Samson said to them, "Let me now put a riddle to you. If you can explain it to me within the 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 festal garments. But if you cannot explain it to me, then you shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 festal garments." So they said to him, "Ask your riddle, let us hear it." He said to them, "Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet. but for 3 days they could not explain the riddle. The story tells us how on the 4th day, Samson's bride was threatened with burning if she did not find out the meaning of the riddle. Samson reluctantly explained that it referred to the lion, but he was furious when she told her kinsman, killing 30 men and abandoning her. So why did Abram Lyle think this was a suitable image for his golden syrup? He was a deeply religious and rather austere Presbyterian elder from Greenock in Scotland. He was rooted in the imagery of the Bible, and he expected his customers would be as well. In the first decades of the syrup's production, when biblical literacy was at its height, the text on the tin would have been readily identifiable. In 1883, 2 years after he had opened his London sugar refinery, Lyle stumbled upon golden syrup as a byproduct of the sugarcane refining process. It was not a product that he had been trying to create. At the time, he was struggling with a collapse in the price of raw sugar. He had sold his assets, and his previously successful business was being propped up with finance from the Bank of Scotland. Golden syrup was the salvation of his business. It must have seemed like a miraculous change of fortune. Lyle may well have been drawn to the miraculous and unexpected elements of the story of the honey in the carcass. So he may have regarded the packaging as a form of thanksgiving for the deliverance of Abram Lyle and Son, as he recognised that when faced with a crisis, the carcass of his once strong business had indeed brought forth sweetness.